Coming up tonight on YCN News, a possible new location for the former Keene Pumpkin Festival. The Trask Brook Bridge in Sunapee reopens, and Vermont now has a Latin motto. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening. It is Friday, April 10th. I'm Laura James. Welcome to YCN News. Well, the calendar says spring, yet you may want to start thinking about a popular fall activity. It involves a lot of people, includes all things pumpkin, and happens in October. YCN's Lisa Cannell explains.
Will the future of the Keene Pumpkin Festival be decided tomorrow morning in Claremont? That's what we'll find out tomorrow in Claremont at the Trinity Episcopal Church, right downtown Claremont, from 10 to noon. A grassroots group of citizens, concerned citizens of Claremont, led by Michael Charest, will meet to discuss bringing the festival from Keene up to Claremont. A lot of news coming out of this year's Keene Pumpkin Festival was bad. Student riots, not on campus or in the downtown, but enough to give the city a bad black eye and to prompt Keene City councilors not to issue a permit for next year's festival. The festival doesn't have to be in Keene. It can be in any site, but Claremont may consider having it here. It would bring good revenue, and some civic organizations are getting behind this and trying to keep it on the southwest part of New Hampshire rather than over in Manchester or Nashua. On Monday, YCN News will bring you the news of tomorrow's meeting, and perhaps that will be an indication of where next year's Pumpkin Festival will be held. For YCN News, I'm Lisa Connell.
Sounds like it could be an interesting meeting tomorrow. Well, for local residents and visitors, the shortcut that makes it easier to get from Newport to Sunapee is back in business. Trask Brook Bridge is open again, making the time to drive on Bradford Road between these two towns shorter. The bridge was closed for all travel on March 20th, per the State Department of Transportation. Sunapee Highway Director Scott Hazelton told the town select board this week that the Trask Brook Bridge may become one lane each way with a posted weight limit at its entrance. That according to WNTK Radio. Meanwhile, Hazelton said work on other Sunapee bridges continues. Well, Vermont now has what many other states have, a Latin motto. Governor Peter Shumlin today signed into law Senate Bill 2, and with that, the motto, Stella Corda Decima Fulgeat. The Latin motto means, may the 14th star shine bright. The 14th star is a reference, of course, to Vermont's status as the 14th state to join the United States. The motto joins Vermont's English motto, freedom and unity. The idea for an official Latin motto came from St. Johnsbury Academy freshman Angela Kubicki, who attended the signing, as did the bill's sponsor, Republican State Senator Joe Benning of Caledonia. Well, coming up on YCN News, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders leads an effort to increase funds for seniors. And there's a missing cannon in Cavendish, Vermont. And the all-important weekend forecast, all coming up when YCN News returns.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Laura James. Well, it is not every day that someone loses a brass cannon, so the man who reported its theft to Vermont State Police is also offering a $500 reward for its return. Now, the cannon, along with a Honda dirt bike, was reported missing to police last Saturday at about 4 p.m. from its home on South Reading Road in Cavendish, Vermont. That's when owner Patrick Durkin of Greenwich, Connecticut, realized that the Cavendish home had been broken into. Police say the cannon and home were burglarized between the night of March 31st and the morning of April 1st. Anyone with information regarding this case is asked to please call Trooper Brian Berry of the Rockingham State Police Barracks. That number to call is 802-875-2112. In other Vermont news, U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders says more money needs to be allocated for programs serving senior citizens. Appropriately named the Older Americans Act, Sanders is leading the effort in Congress to get more money set aside for access to meals, transportation, family caregiver support, and other programs for seniors. Now, Sanders wants a 12% increase in support for these programs. Among the 32 other senators advocating for the extra money in next year's budget are Jean Shaheen from New Hampshire and Patrick Leahy from Vermont. Sanders says the demand for these programs is great. And in many areas of the country, vulnerable seniors are on waiting lists for services that they need. Sanders and the 32 other senators, signed the letter. The letter was sent to the Senate Appropriations members who later this year will set funding levels for senior programs. In all, an increase of $225 million is sought to meet the needs spelled out in the Older Americans Act. As Sanders notes, more than 65 million Americans are over the age of 60, with another 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 each day. 1 in 5 seniors live on an average of $7,600 a year. Well, state police throughout New Hampshire today released the results of a truck safety inspection conducted on Tuesday. The unannounced commercial vehicle safety check by state police resulted in 338 violations. In all, 181 inspections were performed, focusing on driver and equipment safety. Of the 338 violations, 61 were serious enough that police took drivers off the road or seized the vehicles they drove. These out-of-service violations range from drivers possessing alcohol to failure to comply with hours of service regulations. Vehicle out-of-service violations included defective brakes, tires, and load securement, as well as defective lighting. Under these secret all-boots-on-the-ground missions, state police say they have kept unsafe commercial drivers off the road, along with malfunctioning and unsafe vehicles. And a reminder that if you are or know of a senior, high school, junior, or senior who's exploring college options, a good place to be tomorrow is at the River Valley Community College in Claremont, New Hampshire. College President Dr. Alicia Harvey Smith invites students and adults to a luncheon this Saturday at the college's Claremont campus. It's taking place from 11 in the morning to 1 p.m. in the afternoon in the Falcon Room, and guests will learn all about degree programs and college services available to RVCC students. Faculty and staff will be available to answer questions on course and career planning, transfer options to four-year schools. Financial aid concerns also will be addressed. Programs offered at River Valley Community College's Keene campus will be discussed as well. Families are encouraged to attend to help guide students through the transition from high school to college student. If you'd like more information and to RSVP, you can contact Jillian Davis, Executive Assistant to the College President, at 603-542-7744, extension 5527. Coming up next on YCN News, it's called the Sparrow School, a special place for little ones. Also the focus of Lynn Solomon's interview with director Rachel Ensign. That interview is coming up when YCN News continues.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Mike Pizzone. Well, these last few days have certainly felt more like winter than spring, but it looks like we're finally in store for some much-needed sun this weekend. Tonight we'll see a 30% chance of showers with lows of about 40 degrees. Saturday we should finally see an end to these rain clouds, as the sun should break out and remain for the rest of the weekend. Temperatures will also feel a bit more like spring, with highs near 50 degrees and a low of 29. Sunday will see clear skies and temperatures as high as 61 degrees throughout the day, and a low of 35 Sunday night will make for one of the best weekends we've seen so far this year. Now let's take a look at our community calendar to see what's happening over the weekend. A rummage and bake sale will be held tomorrow at the Town Hall in Brownsville, Vermont from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Proceeds from the event will benefit the town's 4th of July festivities as well as the West Windsor Fire Department. Admission is free, and you can call the number on the screen for more information. The First Congressional Church in Lebanon, New Hampshire will host a dinner and improv show tomorrow from 6 to 9 p.m. The show will feature the Quicksilver Comedy Players. Cost is $7 for the show and $15 for the show and dinner, with proceeds going to benefit WISE. The Chapin Senior Center in New London, New Hampshire will show the 1975 film Rooster Cogburn, the sequel to the Oscar-winning True Grit starring John Wayne. The event starts at 2 p.m. and is free to attend. Wild weather hasn't done local playing fields any favors, but on the bright side, it's given teams a bit more time to practice before their regular season openers. For the Lebanon baseball team, the 2015 season is all about redemption. And not because they felt like they left something out on the playing field a year ago, but because they realize now just how close they actually were to reaching their ultimate goal of bringing home a championship. The Raiders entered last year's Division II tournament as the number 8 seed with an 11-7 record and fell just 4 runs short of knocking off the eventual champs and top-seeded Goffstown in the quarterfinals. So with a handful of seniors returning from that squad who are eager to erase those memories, it's no secret what this year's team has set as its number 1 goal. Senior Noah Mays, who was a key member of the Lebanon basketball team that made it all the way to the semifinals this past winter, said he hopes to utilize that experience of a deep tournament run later on this spring.
When we made it to UNH, you just get that adrenaline rush and you get that experience of wanting to go really far. And, of course we want to bring that into baseball this year. It's my senior year, it's my last chance, so I'm going to bring that intensity that I can every practice to try to get that back, get that experience back to going, to the Final Four, and hopefully we can push it one step further than we did in basketball and go to the championship.
And while Lebanon coach Doug Ashley certainly agrees with the team's long-term goal of getting to a championship, senior Joe Flanagan said Ashley is quick to point out that it'll take more than just a select few to turn that goal into a reality.
He just really pushes that this is a team sport. Everyone's got to show up every practice and give it their all. Baseball, you can't be just relying on one guy. It's all it takes all 9 guys and all the guys on the bench as well to support each other. So,
like most teams in the area, the Raiders haven't been able to do much outside as of yet, but senior Tanner Sims said he can already see the potential in his team.
We've gone outside a few times. We've taken a few fly balls, just throwing the ball in the field, but besides that, we've only been out a few times, thrown in the parking lot. I think that we have a good team, and if we put the time and work in, we could have a good season.
Lebanon is scheduled to open its regular season schedule Monday at home against Goffstown, but Ashley said he isn't too optimistic the field will be in playable shape. There was some local high school action yesterday as the Hanover tennis team opened its season with an impressive win over rival Lebanon, though that game was played over at Dartmouth College. That does it for YCN Sports. I'm Mike Pizzone.
Coming up on YCN News, it's all about pumpkins and the New Hampshire budget on the Weekend Review with Capital Connections hosts John O'Connor and Lisa Cannell when YCN News continues.
The YCN News continues in a moment.